Well, welcome again. Welcome back. I'm Denise Asker, the Executive Director of the Auburn Hills Chamber of Commerce. I hope you're enjoying the morning so far and that you can catch a little bit of the vision that we had in putting this together, painting the picture of our different communities and the power and economic impact that's there, talking about how to segment that market. And now we're going to move into an exciting segment, and our own Penny Shanks is going to be moderating. For those of you who don't know Penny, she is a veteran in the chamber world. She's been a leader in Oakland Chamber Network, where all of us are a member. She's been running the very successful Clarkston Chamber for the past 18 years, and she has a passion for our next topic, which is cause-related marketing. So you're going to hear from Penny as she taps the expertise of our illustrious panel here. And if you'll please get a round of applause for everybody up here right now. Penny Shanks.
We're illustrious. Yeah.
Illustrious.
So that's our third microphone. Oh, you're Mr. Mike.
So yes, you guys are all wired, so you got to be careful what you say now. Welcome. I'm really excited to have you here today and to be able to share something that I think we all see and do. It is October, okay? How many people have bought something that was pink in October? You know what cause-related marketing is. But what does that mean on a local level? So I started doing research on this and actually looking at trying to convey locally what that means to us. I found some interesting facts and statistics, and then we also found these terrific resources right here in Oakland County. Really pleased to have our panelists here today. We have Kelly LaFontaine from LaFontaine Automotive. We have Kevin Tompkins from McLaren, and we have Jonna Struck from Changing Places Moving and Storage. And we are going to hear now from different perspectives here, because we have a very high-level corporate going statewide type of business and strategies. We also have a very strong powerhouse regionally in LaFontaine. And then we have also Changing Places Moving and Storage, which I can't wait till you hear Jonna's story, because there's some really powerful things that happen there. So cause-related marketing, from the red Dell laptops for AIDS awareness to pink Nike high tops for breast cancer research, more companies are embracing social causes as ways of helping themselves and helping others. Such cause-related marketing generally produces win-win outcomes. For-profit companies, they generate goodwill and earnings, while the nonprofit causes share in income they might not otherwise have received. The phrase cause marketing often conjures up images of co-branded products where a percentage of the sales is donated to charity. But the most savvy cause marketers are flipping the equation and approaching their efforts as marketing causes, not cause marketing. And they apply a full range of marketing strategies, engagement tools, and expectations of cause-related efforts. For instance, look at Whirlpool. It doesn't simply give a percentage of profits to Habitat for Humanity. The company outfits Habitat homes with appliances, launched a community outreach program to support build efforts, and has funded standout advertising campaigns featuring celebrity endorsements for the charity. So there's a whole wide range of things that we're doing here. So we're going to start first with our panelists and let you guys introduce yourselves and talk about what causes do you align yourself. And this is just really just a brief overview, because we're going to come back into more detail about why and all of the stories about it. But tell us a little bit about what causes you align yourself with, and we'll start with Kelly.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear me. Hello? Well, it's a challenge because I think my microphone is off, but it's okay. Is it working?
Okay, good.
Okay, good. I align myself with blood cancer research. I am a huge advocate for cancer. It's touched my family, it's touched my heart, and it's within it. So I have the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. We've done national campaigns with them. We align ourselves with Angel of Hope. It's a nonprofit that I sit on a board we give 100% of our money back into Michigan with families that are cancer-related issues. And then Project One, it's another one that's helping one person, one cause, one community at a time. So those are, I didn't think it was working, but it's okay. Hello? Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, I'm sorry. So basically, I'll keep it short. I just want to let you know that I'm Kelly LaFontaine, and my major cause is basically everything related to cancer for me is my personal passion.
Oh, next. Okay, I'm going to do this. Okay. I'm Jonna. I own Changing Places Moving. And basically, how I got started in charity is anything that needed a truck, call me. when I got into the business, we didn't have a very large checkbook, and a lot of charities were coming asking for money, and it was something that we couldn't afford. So I kind of just put it out there to my referral partners as well as the community. If you needed a truck, call on us. So we're involved with Blessings in a Backpack, Lighthouse, their food, as well as their Christmas, I'll say toy drive, Toys for Tots. But most passionately to me is my involvement in Habitat for Humanity. We provide the moves for the homes in Oakland County. Any home that's being finished, we move the homeowners in, FREE free. And from that, I kind of jumped on to building a home. And this past year, I got involved with Women's Build, and we are going to be completing our first home this December.
I got to follow that. You got applause. I'm Kevin Tompkins. I'm with McLaren, and thank you for having us here today. We appreciate that. McLaren we're a nonprofit company that operates hospitals and outpatient centers across the state. And I will tell you that while we are involved in major cause-related efforts like that focus on disease-specific areas, heart or cardiovascular disease, cancer being two of the big ones, we do a lot of our focus and a lot of our strategy for cause-related marketing is really done at the local level. We really operate at the local level. All of our markets are different, and all of our markets have unique needs and unique events going on. And I would tell you from our perspective, what we try to do is understand the needs of the community, understand the direction that the community is going, and then align our efforts around that. And so at the end of the day, what it means is we typically are involved in quite a large number of cause-related efforts, and I will tell you that sometimes it's actually one of our biggest, shall we say, maybe challenges, is as we sit back and look at the effort and the time and the money that is committed to these sorts of things. At times, it gives us pause to think about, are we doing enough to really look at system-wide focusing our efforts? And so instead of working with 100 cause-related efforts, should we be in fact looking at 5 or 10? I don't know. But so right now, we typically do a lot, focus our strategies at the local level. We align with local community organizations who are doing things that we want to participate in, so that we're not out there doing it on our own. And so we've certainly had success in doing that. So.
Okay.
I'll give you
Based on words alone. You know.
We're going to dive into a couple different specific areas about cause-related marketing and what it kind of means. But let's start with a very kind of a functional standpoint of it. When you are approaching your cause-related marketing activities or the things that you're doing, what kind of business resources are you using? Do you use your employees? Do you use some of your business resources? I mean, Jonna talked about she's got trucks, so she'll move people, so that makes sense. But just kind of in this clinical way, what resources are you using to align with the cause-related events and activities and fundraising that you're doing? And we'll start with, actually, Kevin this time.
I think we've got 21,000 employees across the state, and I will tell you that our people are our biggest asset. And in fact, they're the ones typically again, on those local levels, they're the ones who are, in many cases, are driving the direction for these types of cause-related marketing. I'll give you some examples. One is a big effort that hopefully you've heard of is at Karmanos Cancer Institute. They have the Susan G. Komen Road Race right in downtown. They do it every year in downtown Detroit. One of the cool things, obviously, Susan G. Komen is a national organization, But Carmanis, in terms of their efforts in promoting the Susan G. Komen race, they run the largest race in the United States under the Susan G. Komen banner. So I would tell you that's a good example of kind of what we do. We're not we're not by ourselves out there. We're looking for opportunities to partner, and in this case, partner with a national organization. They've got traction, they've got great brand visibility for this cause-related effort, and it brings a lot to the table when we sit and look at what we're doing on the local level, in this case in Detroit. Now with that, we are looking to expand the presence of Susan G. Komen race out into the various communities that we serve. On the flip side, we also look to employees. We've got an employee in Clarkston who works at a cancer center who just has a passion for doing road races. And she came to us and said, I think I can organize a road race, and we can, let's do it around and to benefit cancer research. And so we look at it, we sit down with her, in this case sat down with her, she engaged with our partners at Carmanos, and we're headed down the path. We're going to develop a road race that's going to be local. And so we do those things as well. So we really span, as I said, a really broad spectrum of things across the organization. Big, well-organized events like we have in downtown Detroit with Carmanis and Susan G. Komen, all the way down to, let's say more community-oriented efforts to support community causes, and we find that works the best for us.
In contrast, I have 30 employees and 10 trucks. And if you don't know who Changing Places, who we are, we're a local as well as long-distance residential and commercial moving company. So we have 30 employees. And basically, I can't ask my gentlemen to volunteer their time. They need their payroll to support their families. So a lot of this I do by myself, or I wrangle in my manager, and now my husband who's joined my team. And it's kind of interesting because I hear a lot of, man, she's crazy. She's nuts. But here's the story. Way back when I took over the moving company, I said to myself, my community is going to call on me. My community is going to move with me. And if my community moves with me, I have to give back to my community, and I have to find a way that I can do it affordable. And again, I go back to the checkbook because a lot of small businesses don't have deep pockets to hand out the $10,000 or the $20,000 check. So I found a way to use my trucks, and I started with Lighthouse. And they call twice a year at Thanksgiving. They want a truck that they can load up with food and send over to a distribution center so that they can send out grocery bags of Thanksgiving dinners to local families. At Christmas, they asked me if I can do a toy drive with them. Again, it was just dropping a truck off and leaving it there for weeks. But then as the business started growing, I counted on my referral partners, who are realtors. And I said, if there's any charity that you're interested in and we can support with a truck, let me know. And that's how we got involved with Toys for Tots. This morning, I'm kind of going through a little withdrawal because I've sent my husband on an excursion. We're doing coats for Con Ed for Coldwell Banker Emanuel. They called us 2 months ago. They came up with the idea. All they wanted from us was boxes and someone to pick up the coats, box them, store them for a month, and in November, I think right now we're at a total of 354 coats that they've donated, and today he's out in St. Clair Shores picking up the last of them. So now my referral partners are thinking of ways for me to get involved. Habitat was sort of, I'll say, happenstance. They called, they needed one move donated, and it was like, all right, I'll volunteer my men. And then when I started hearing their mission and hearing about my own home county, Oakland County, currently, there's 118,000 families that are living in poverty in Oakland County. That is utterly impossible for me to understand. So hence I got involved with the Habitat, finding safe, affordable housing. Now this year I went a little step further, beyond moving the clients, I got on a build project. The greatest gift that ever came back to me this year was taking my 18-year-old daughter on a build site. We were there the very first day where it was just a slab, and I'll say, I don't even know what kind of wood it was, but it was all packaged up and we were building walls. And by 10:30, we're both looking at each other and I said, I'm not gonna make it. We were using hammers and nails, the old-fashioned way. And she's like, Mom, I'm not either. We were praying for it to rain. Well, it happened to be that Monday, remember, way back in August, where Royal Oak and Madison Heights and all that got flooded? Sorry. That's the power of my prayer, I guess. I didn't mean to do that to so many people, but they let us off the crew at 11:30. We were relieved. But on Thursday, I was to return with a group of 12 realtors we were going to install windows and doors. But because of all the storms, it got delayed. What I did with 14 women was we raised 26 trusses that day. If you don't think that changed my referral partner's eyes towards me and what I do and give back, I'm like shaking right now because it was such an exciting experience. But now these women are all realtors, and they're going to the National Association of Realtors next week in New Orleans, and they've all signed up for a habitat build that week while they're down there, all because they came out on that project. So you can do this whether you're large or small. This last weekend we had a warehouse sale, leftover furniture in the warehouse. I wouldn't dare ask anybody to help me. I'll do it myself. I made my husband and manager come along. Again, she's crazy. I had a realtor volunteer to come and collect the money. One of my employees volunteered for the day to work in the office and show the people the furniture. And then the two gentlemen I was paying in the warehouse, at the end of the day, they said, you know what, seriously? This was such a fun time, and we saw these people get such great deals, and we saw what happiness it brought them. And I'm looking at them like, you are so not my employee. They said, don't even pay us. As my gentlemen were coming back off of moves and they saw all the commotion and fun, they all joined in helping people carry furniture. I didn't even ask. It's kind of contagious. It just runs, I'll say, in my business family.
Thank you. No, that's awesome. I was shaking too. I can feel the passion, I can feel the energy, and that's really what it's all about. I think I'm the middle company. I have over 900 employees right now. And how we started out is going community, door to door. I was blessed with an amazing family, and my parents were mom and pop shops. They had probably 25 employees, just a small community. Whatever they can get involved in, they got involved in. I grew up, was at the Lions Club selling programs on Thanksgiving. I sold Tootsie Rolls on the side of the street. I grew up blessed with that kind of upbringing. So for me, when I got back into the business, 8 years ago, I came back from staying home with 3 kids, wondering what am I going to do, how am I going to fit. I don't really think I should sell cars because, I still don't know anything about them. But I decided to, just come back part-time because I wanted to be part of the family. And I kind of got on my lap of all the same things. So many in the community outreaching to you and want your help. I'm like, oh, we got to do this. We got to do this. And then I realized, whoa, this is overwhelming. There's so much need out there. And you really want to get involved. So I actually started up a business-to-business marketing department, and it was me. And then I found Carol Peters at the Clarkston, Concerts in the Park. And I had to convince my brothers that I needed a department and I needed somebody else. And from there, we've grown. And as we grow in a business, and that's where we get everyone involved, we actually have a business-to-business marketing department for all of our regions. So we span from Gladwin to Lansing to Ann Arbor to Dearborn to Highland. So there is actually a team underneath that we actually sit down and strategize and say, okay, how can we assess what is in the needs of the community? How can we get involved? How can we align with what the manufacturers are doing with, like everyone sees right now is the month of October for another day or two. But you'll see how Chevrolet has the ribbons out there for their pink, and they support the ride and drives. And we get in, Ford does all the, Drive for One for the community, for their schools. There's so many. There's cancer research that Hyundai does. There's Subaru that gets involved in so many different levels. So we sat there and said, okay, how do we take it large and how do we help it and reach into our community and what is the needs? And we also, as the team's going and we're doing all that, in 2008, my brother was diagnosed with cancer, and watching him go through that, and I think it was
a year and a half later, we had actually somebody through our media source said, you know what, there's the Leukemia Lymphoma Society national campaign, you should do this. And I'm like, we just built the store, we're running here, we just hired another 200 people, and we're opening 3 more stores this year. I'm like, sure. I looked at the folder, I said, I looked at Carol, and I said, he'll be back, watch. He walked down the hallway and came back and turned back around. And I said, no, how can we not? He goes, yeah, let's figure out how we're gonna do this. I'm like, yep, we're on it. And that started where the team comes. So we got a group of individuals, not just employees, just people that it touched within them. And it was all of us sitting there brainstorming, and they talk about it. All the employees want to, we had, some were doing bake sales at all the stores on Saturdays, some were doing the car shows, some were doing car washes. I mean, it was like we embraced it all. It was a culture because it was passion. It was a thing that we had, that everyone had passion behind it and wanted to do something good. And we had the t-shirts on, and all the employees for 7 weeks got to, wear them on Friday, and we created these t-shirts that they loved, and it was Jeans Day, and, it just got the whole, all the employees to embrace it and to live it and to breathe it and want to sell the wristbands and want to do this, and just being so proud that they can help. And then don't just take it there because we thought, okay, there we go, it was amazing, we raised this money and we're so proud and let's go over this. But then find out behind the scenes where the money is going, because that was the one thing for me, that if I have passion and I want to give back in my community. I want to help somebody, touch somebody, and see it. So that's where we went on the other side. Don't just let it go. Find out, like Jonna, find out where it's going, get involved in it. We actually met the doctors. We actually forced their hands to go into Michigan U of M Children's Mott Hospital. I wanted to make sure that there was research grants there. That's the one we're choosing. I wasn't going to China. I didn't realize it was even an option. So 100% follow through with the passion behind it and say, okay, I want to make a difference. I want to meet and greet all these people and see how they're making a difference. Somebody on our campaign lost their brother to non-Hodgkin's, and unfortunately it was graft versus host at the end. But there was a bone marrow drive, and we're sitting there, and it was just 12 people in a room, and we're like, all right, let's do a bone marrow drive. We're going to have one day, all the stores are going to do it. Because of that one thing, we were the largest Michigan bone marrow drive. We went through the papers, we used our media source through TVs, we used our media source through radio, and it was a huge, huge, huge turnout. And that's what it's all about. It's making a difference. And for me, when I get behind something, it's because I want to pay it forward. That was the way I was raised, that's the way I do things. Getting my kids, my family, I actually have an auction room in my house because that's what our basement ended up turning into. But it's everyone, it's midnight at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're loading up the cars, and I sign my kids, or they sign themselves up anymore. They get their groups together, and they're like, why do we always have to do takedown? And we're here till 3 in the morning. I'm like, because you can, and I'm right here. This is a good thing. He's like, I know, and it's those things that you're instilling to them that it just pays dividends, and getting involved, like you said, from one person can make that difference. And if you are that one person, it could be anything. Just get behind it.
I get always so inspired and caught up in the stories as people tell me these things. How could you ever say no if Kelly LaFontaine came and asked you something? I mean, seriously. Or if Jonna, here's Jonna, I'm not going to ask, but I'm out there working and I'm moving the furniture by myself. How would people just let you do that? They're going to jump right in. It's great stories, and I love hearing people take their talents and aptitude and pay it forward. For the businesses that are here today, and if you're thinking about, or you already do, cause-related marketing, so the next question to the panelists is going to be, should you look at something that the mission of the charity aligns with your mission as a business, or do you look at, is it more important to look at something that you authentically, really, truly, passionately care about? Which is really more important as you're evaluating, or your recommendation for businesses that might be looking at doing something like this? And I get to start with you, Jonna.
I don't think there personally is a right or wrong answer to that question. I think for me is, in the beginning, it's like that Nike commercial. I just went out and did it. Just do it. Find something that either A, works for your business, or B, in my case, it became a passion both ways. Because way back when I joined another chamber, the big line there was go out and create commerce. And I started thinking about Habitat's mission, and it's like, I need to put more people in the community so they too can create commerce. So if everybody in our community can go home to safe, affordable housing, then that means everybody's going to have a job. And that means everybody can spend money. And that means everybody is going to keep moving. And so, in essence, I didn't think about it, but now at the end of what I'm doing, I started thinking more about what we do. So the whole idea is if we put more people in homes, who knows, they might open a business, they might join a chamber, they might need marketing material, they might need the florist. And so that's where I kind of started driving our actions towards. Blessings in a Backpack, which I've hardly talked about, that's just something that came knocking on my door. I had no idea in Waterford and Clarkston that children go home on Friday from school and they don't eat till Monday morning. I didn't know that, did you? So I had these 2 school districts approach me and they said once a month, grocery stores will offer them pallets of food. Can you send your truck over to go pick them up, drop them off again at either a school or a distribution center? We fill up backpacks and we send them out with the kids on Friday after school. Now, if you get that call at your office, how can you possibly say no? And my manager looks at me and he says, well, you know, we're going to have to shut a truck down. We're going to have to, yeah, we're going to have to because I can't let kids go hungry. And so basically, there's times I don't look at like whether or not we're getting business from it, but if I fill those kids' bellies on the weekend and it makes a happy home life, what are those children going to be growing up? Will they next come to my company and be a gentleman mover? I don't know. But I'm in hopes that these little seeds I'm planting today, successful homeowner, non-hungry child, they someday may be an employee or a homeowner and create commerce in our society.
I totally get caught up in everything. It's just, I do. I'm sitting here, I love it. For me, it's everything. I don't think that there's a right and wrong answer. I agree with Jana on that one, 100%. You look at so many things where as long as you have that drive and that passion, and you can't have a wrong answer. For me, it was cancer, and that was a research that personally touched me. But we help so many other organizations, and it's just not one focused. That's just my passion. But if you get your community or you get your employees involved, you can't go wrong. I mean, you really can't go wrong. I don't think so. You know, and I think when somebody asks me this question a lot, I think, well, don't you do business with people you know? Don't you do business with people that you trust and that you know in the community that you can walk up and talk to? So, you know, I think that that's where it helps align yourself. So if you get involved, whether it's a level of at your church and you're getting involved, or if it's, you know, your school auction or their golf outings or all these things, it's you aligning yourself with more people to know and more people to get to know. And that's where you get yourself out there, or your name out there saying, hey, you know, how can I help? What can I do? And really, it doesn't have to be this large campaign, a national campaign. It doesn't. It can just be small. I mean, it starts small and keep on going, but never give up. Never, you know, I always get involved in every way.
And I would add to that, just to reemphasize that to me, the first thing is what can you get behind and get excited about and know that you're going to be able to stay really engaged and get your company engaged in it and stick with it. I'll tell you the thing that I've seen that we haven't, you know, when we look at things that have gone really well and do really well, it's the things that we really get behind, that we really get a lot of interaction, a lot of community partnership, a lot of momentum. So we're not just the only ones involved. But most importantly, it's the ones we stick to, and we do year after year after year. And because I will tell you, I've seen times when we've gotten involved in something and there wasn't a stick-to-itness, and we did it 1 year or maybe 2, and then it was gone. And I will tell you that I look back on those and I'm like, you know, I don't know that we did a good job there. But when I look at the things that we get really excited about and people have passion about, and yeah, I think you can also be looking at, does this make sense for my brand to be associated with that? And sure, think about those things too, But I'll tell you, for me, the most important thing is the stick-to-itness. Get out there and stick to it and find something you really like, and and that every year when you do it, if it's like one time a year or throughout the year or whatever, that you're like totally jazzed about it all the time and you feel good about it. And those things that you stick to, those will really, really work. And versus, because I'll tell you, the other thing you've heard from these guys is that it's hugely time consuming and it takes a lot of time. So as I mentioned
You
before.
don't notice the time.
Well, you don't notice the time, but there's a lot of things that, I mean, stay focused and pick your, be deliberate about it. Because as I said, when I look at, our experiences, it's those things that we're focused on and that we stay true to and we stay energized with, and those things really, really make a difference and really engages with the community.
And I want to add one other thing. I was just thinking here. I lined something that parallels with you. As soon as you said that, somebody kept asking me, do you want to be our beer sponsor? You want to do this? Or, I'm like, no, obviously I'm, driving cars. So does that align with me? Is that something that I could do? But how else can I help? So those are the things that you have to really think about. But like I told you with Ford does that drive for your school. Well, it's a ride and drive, and it actually gets the cars and the vehicles out there. So that makes sense and aligns it perfectly. But Subaru has Feel the Love event, and the Subaru one it's basically what form that? It's your local community, but it's mainly, Subaru has this niche for giving back for pets, any kind of pet awareness, pet adoptions. So that created, over the years, it was the people and the loyal customers that created their charity, not them. They didn't just say, hey, I'm going to be Subaru and this is what I'm going to do, and we're going to align ourselves with, pets. They were listening to the people in their community. They were listening to their customers. They were listening to what was out there. So that's too, you got to really play on to. So if you really want to open your ears up and say, hey, and stick to itness, because if they didn't stick with it, who knows what 10,000 charities it could have been by now,
And I just want to add, like a lot of small businesses are really afraid to make this step because it is a level of commitment, and it, like you said, the stick-to-itness. If I didn't have that passion, this could blow up in our company's face. But the really cool thing at the end of the day is, about 3-4 weeks ago, I moved a Habitat homeowner in. And a week later, his mom called. You moved my son last week. Would I have ever imagined she was talking about a Habitat homeowner? I'm moving, and I want to move with you because you gave him that move. I was floored by it. But what I'm telling you is if you find something that aligns both with your business, your personal passion, you too will find business will grow from it. You'll be recognized in your community, and people will call upon you to utilize your business because you're so giving, I'll say.
Outstanding. So I'm hearing a couple things here, and one of them is that you have to be authentically engaged and passionate. Yes, you want to try to find stuff that is associated perhaps closer to your business mission, doing things that help improve health and fitness and prevent disease makes perfect sense for McLaren-type projects. But it doesn't have to be just that. More important is that you authentically are passionate about it, because that passion and that authenticity creates leadership within, I'm hearing, your employees, as well as your referral partners, as well as your customers and clients. And so that, very exciting. And I thought it was interesting that we hear, yes, it's a lot of work, but if you're enjoying it that much, you're kind of in the flow and you lose track of time because you're getting energy from what it is that you're doing. Correct? Okay, so now we're going to talk about specifically really telling your story. You've chosen these charities and things to do specifically. I would like you to share with the group here today the real story, the hook that got your heart involved and engaged in this. You've touched on it briefly in your presentations here, but I've heard individually and in other settings more of your story. But I know that Kelly Leukemia Lymphoma Society is very passionate to you. McLaren is a strong advocate for health and fitness and wellness. And I know, Jana, you have a very strong passion for Habitat, but I'm not sure everybody really knows what all of those are. You may know the name brands, but you might not really know what those charities are in your story. So let's go ahead and start with that. And I forget who we're starting with this time.
Kelly?
Okay. It'd be me. You heard basically why I got involved in it, and cancer has touched many, 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 many factors in our life and our family, and unfortunately, we've lost a lot of good people from it in our immediate family. But you heard how I got aligned with it. But it goes before that. You know, I was on the Huron Valley Optimists, and we sat there, and nobody was raising their hand to take on a committee, and it was cheering for childhood cancer campaign. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. So anything that revolves around that, it's something that I'm passionate about. But I took that level with Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and it's a blood cancer, and they do all the research. And the one thing that I was telling you that I was so proud about is that at Mott's Children's Hospital, and that's only because that's where the grant researchers would go in Michigan, or else we'd be at McLaren. I didn't get that option. I'm sorry. I still love you, Kevin. But that is something that we raised over $1 million. That was our goal and our passion, and it was because we were all dedicated. It wasn't because after the first year saying, okay, let's be done. It wasn't because we just wrote a check. It was because we did grassroots marketing. We got everyone involved in it. We really, really, really wanted to make a difference. And we have 10 grants right now, and each one of them is named for somebody that's touched our hearts in the cancer research, or children that have, and we've named each one of them after them. And those are the things about making the difference. We have our whole committee that gets to go to the hospital and sit there, and I just hope that it pays it forward, because I sat there listening to my brother talk, and he was, being recognized, and I was sitting there going, somebody before him, 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, who knows how long ago, did the same thing and believed in paying it forward and was touched by it and rallied a team of people to make a difference and raise money for research. When he had Hodgkin's lymphoma, he had an 86% cure rate. So none of our $1 million funding, none of it went to Hodgkin's lymphoma. It all went to something that did not have that kind of a cure rate. And a lot of it, you'd be amazed at, is children. Children's cancer is the least amount of funded research, and that's where half of our grants went to. So those are something that it wasn't that I knew about, I wasn't very knowledgeable in the medical field. It wasn't that I knew anything about what is ALL, what is this, what is that. It was because we did the research behind it, saying, okay, well, now we have this, we have an obligation, because people raised their money and they gave it to us, and we have to figure out and we have to follow through with it to make sure that it went the right direction. So we wanted to make sure that we were proud from step to step. And if in your business, and the one thing that, so many people come into our store and they're like, oh my gosh, the energy in here, the level, the people, and I think that it has to stem from all those things. I really truly believe that it's the culture that you create, and you have to create it from the top all the way down. That culture you can't just buy, you can't just pay, you can't just write a check and say you're gonna have it. That culture is something that you believe in, and the energy that people feed off. You have happy employees that are happy to be working for you because they believe in something and they want to believe in where they work. It pays it 10 times over. So start there. Get everyone else rallied behind you, because that's so important. But for me, I was blessed. I'm blessed with an amazing family. I'm blessed with being able to pay it forward. And I'm blessed that one person stood there and said, hey, I'm going to fight for it, and made that difference. And I made a personal passion when I watched my brother go through that and not know, and have his wife pregnant with twins, and he's 30 years old, and you have that sense of helplessness, of looking at it going, what can I do? What can I do? And really, I can't do anything besides stand there and say, okay, and show your support and your love and all of that. But I couldn't make a difference, and I just had to have a leap of faith and believe that God only gives you what you can handle, and that I'm thinking, sometimes we question it, but there was a reason, and everything happens for a reason. And I truly believed, and I looked at him over the years and said, the reason is because we can make a difference. God knew that we can make a difference, and that somehow we're planting these seeds here, and I have to turn it into a positive, this negative thing that comes into many and touches many people's lives. I wanted to make sure I turn it into a positive for us and how we can go forward. So I'm not here to do anything besides, tell you where I was behind and what was really important to me. But there's so many causes that are so important. So, any one of them. And Rally, Jonna, anytime she looks at me and she goes, want to come to Habitat? I'm like, I'm coming. The day later, I brought my mom. She couldn't come that night. We're like, it's got to go. And we were staying there. We better go to Habitat. I'm like, because we believe in it. We believe in giving back. We believe in being important, and making a difference and helping out any way we can. So, and never when you say, life's too busy, and oh my gosh, it's too crazy, and everyone, you got to find that balance. I get that in life. I have children, I have a husband, I have, work with, 20 different franchises and many different locations. But it's finding that time out. If you're truly passionate about it, you'll find it. It may be, 10 to 1 in the morning. It may be 3 to 5. I don't know. But you can find that time, and you can rally the people in there. And, there's days when we're getting close to the auction. They're all downstairs, and there's so many people down there you can't even see the floor. And you just think, oh my gosh, my daughter comes down, she's helping us write down. She goes, Mom, you realize it's 1 in the morning? I'm like, yep, let's keep on going. We got to be there by 9. This is not done, So it's maybe sometimes crunch time that you have to get it done in, but it's finding that time, following through with it, and making that difference. So that's what I challenge everyone. I do that wherever I go, is just try to start and make that difference.
I guess for us, I was trying to develop a network of realtor referral partners. And I had made a list, and I earmarked some of the people that I wanted to talk to. And some of them, really weren't interested in hearing about referring a moving company. And it was like, great, how do I get to these people? And again, by happenstance, I happened to be at the Arts, Beats and Eats, I think it was in Pontiac in 2002, and a realtor that I had been seeking out saw me, and she said, hey, I want to know if you'd be interested in maybe picking up some furniture for an estate sale. Yes, yes. Didn't even know the details, thoughts, nothing, didn't know the dates, nothing, but yes, we're going to do it. And I get in the car and I'm like, holy crap, I hope we can. And when I called on Monday and we got all the details and everything, I went with 2 trucks and 3 other of my gentlemen, and we drove all through Detroit, Royal Oak, Oak Park, picking up estate sale furniture that we later brought to the parking lot of Hall and Hunter. And the following Saturday, they had an estate sale, which all the proceeds went to Habitat for Humanity. Well, at that time, that first sale netted $6,000. And I'm sitting there thinking, and I said, what if we started doing these pickups October through August? What could we produce in this sale? Would you do this? Sure. Again, not consulting my manager, who loves me very much. I brought back the idea, and he's like, so where are we going to store it? I don't know. Take that corner of the warehouse. That will be Habitat. What do you want me to do with the things that are there? I don't know, figure it out, but we'll do it. And the first year that we started picking up and storing, the deal was Hall and Hunter would refer their clients to me, I would move them, and any of their donated items I'd bring back to my warehouse and store until a September estate sale. Well, that first year we went from donating $6,000 to $13,000. And then every year thereafter, where this last sale, we contributed $30,000. Now, in my, I'll say, 14 years of involvement, I do track what I do. I have probably donated close to $85,000 in storage and truck and labor. Ask me if my company feels it. It sure does, in the income, not the expenses. Because not only do these realtors see me as a dynamic, awesome, incredible, charitable, philanthropic. Do you like all those adjectives that I've assigned to changing places, moving? They can't even think of referring another moving company. Did I know this when I started it? Absolutely not. And we talk about culture. My goal as an employer was I wanted my employees to have good, reliable transportation. That means vehicles. I wanted them to live in a safe, affordable home. Because if they had those 2 things, I could count on them being to work every day. So I'm just showing you how it just keeps flowing back and forth, and it's not just about the charity, it's also about making my company strong and sustainable. And it wasn't this big business plan, it's just I saw the aha moments. When they saw me working on this, on the right side, getting people into homes, my guys started wanting to buy homes. They wanted to save money. They wanted to learn Financial Peace University that was granted to me via my Habitat work. I brought it into my company. All of my employees, took the program. Now they're paying down their debt. They're buying homes. They're buying cars. They're learning how to be sustainable and creating commerce. So here my involvement in charity brought culture back to my employees. Now, interesting enough, my men, they're not movers. They're gentlemen. They're not just a man in society. They're courteous, they have gratitude, they have a positive attitude, and it takes a unique individual to come work in my company. We have a culture that not everybody fits, and hence I stayed the size that I am. So what I'm trying to describe to you, it's more than just being philanthropic and getting involved in this cause marketing. It's about your entire culture of your business.
Wow, that was really nice.
I know, I think I should be a college professor.
That's your next career. Well, kind of hard to follow both of those. I would just very quickly say, I mean, we have involved in a lot of things across the organization in all our different markets, and all of them produce all kinds of stories that are terrific stories to tell. So how do you pick out one? I mean, we can talk about, one of my favorites is, we have a program that we partner with communities, with our folks in our community in Oakland, in Pontiac, called Sister and Sister. And what it's designed to do is build awareness and raise money through a variety of marketing events across the year to raise money to support free mammograms for women who can't afford them. Now, the really cool thing is, I mean, that's great, but then one of the events they have every year is a fashion show, and they have it at the Royal Park Hotel. And I mean, I'm telling you, they have that, and again, here's an example about, they can't pull it off by themselves. We can't do this by themselves. It requires a bunch of different organizations to participate in this. And so they work overtime, and they're the organizer to pull this all together. But what they then deliver in this one event, they have a cruise, they have lots of other things that in the effort of marketing, put those brands out there, and that's cause-related marketing, that's what we're doing. But the interesting thing is that one of their events is the fashion show, and they have a runway, and they have lights, and they have music, and they have designers who come and bring clothes, but the models are, guess who? It's the survivors, and it's the moms, it's the sisters, it's the folks who have survived breast cancer, and they have survived breast cancer because they were pulled into the program through the early detection and treatment, and so they become a survivor. And to see them walk down the runway is just awesome. Now, so there's lots and lots of stories like that. I would tell you, though, that one of the sort of the universal thing that is way cool, and you've heard it from both of these folks, is really what it does to our employees in terms of making them feel engaged. We work hard, not only we want them to participate in it, but we want to support our employees doing it. Because as you've talked about, both of you have talked about, when the employees get involved in this stuff, building houses or putting on the fashion show or whatever, it's a huge experience for them. And they tie that experience back to the company they work for. And we think that's really important, because at the end of the day, human capital is a big part of who we are. And so we want to have an engaged workforce. And so it's just, when you see people who are employees who are involved in these things, and they get to work, and we support them doing that, whether it's time off or whatever else they need to participate in this, there's that story as well. That's a good feel-good story as well. So I would tell you that lots and lots of stories, lots of great stuff you can do, but it's the other thing that you can do, in fact, I think you can do for your employees, and they feel really good about it, and I think it works really well. So.
I really have enjoyed the panel discussion today, and I guess one of the takeaways I hope that you get out of this today is, what differentiates your company from your competition? Do you have a business brand that demonstrates corporate responsibility, integrity, passion, authenticity? That's going to get you customers and clients, but it's also going to help you get and retain quality employees that extenuate your brand out there. And a good way to do that is to allow your passion for a cause to actually be affiliated, not separate from your business, but with your business as well. Please join me in thanking our speakers today, Kelly LaFontaine, Kevin Tompkins, and Jonna Struck.